So that's when it all changed for Rome. When the Romans overthrew the Etruscans in 509 BC, Rome established a republic. The people were divided into two classes, the patricians made up of aristocrats, and the plebeians made up of common folk and small-town farmers.
I'm so bored.
The classes were strictly forbidden from intermixing. Now, the aristocrats held all-important governmental offices, such as the 2 consuls and the 300 senators. Furthermore, the Senate was considered to be the highest legislative and advisory body, meeting in the Curia to convene and pass laws.
Did you hear that? Yeah, what was it? Is that Class A with Mr. Omichi? Yeah, I think so.
It's as if you have no desire to learn anything. So why are you even here? People like you are
It is Class A. What the heck's going on?
Sounds like Omichi snapped and is on one of his tirades again.
Hurry up, we don't have all day. What's your answer?
Maybe you should look at the lesson plan again. I think you've got it wrong.
Excuse me?
Before you scream at us, you ought to be sure you're not the one making a mistake.
Is that Chitanda?
Sorry. I see where we are. Now that you may sit down.
Okay, let's get back to the Roman Republic. Let's see, where were we? Oh yes, the Senate and the Curia. So, the Curia was a huge building on the ground.
It was your idea for us to get together in the first place, Fukube!
Hey, Mayuka, why don't you just try to calm down?
You should just stay out of this, Chi. Look, maybe you did have a reason, but it's common courtesy to call.
How about
or you
this?
could have even sent me a text at the very
Mayuka,
least.
do you want a
I wouldn't
cookie?
have cared if you'd canceled, but to stand me up without a word? I know
What
you
if
got
I
a
got
cell
some
phone, so why
milk?
did you
What
use
would
it?
that
It never
say?
occurs to you to do the right thing. You don't care about anyone but yourself, and that's the truth. This is a big deal.
That's a bold move on your part,
Apologize, I
Chitanda.
won't let you off the hook this time. You're full of useless information, but when it comes to
Your
common
efforts are
courtesy,
futile,
nothing.
though.
You had to know how mad I would be, but you didn't care! Then it started storming like crazy! Rain, thunder, lightning, hail! Hail, Fukube! You're the most inconsiderate person I've ever met! I even got all dressed up like an idiot, and by the time I got home, my favorite outfit was ruined! Ruined, Fukube!
Aren't you tired
All
yet?
because you... Yes, I am.
Why don't you take a breather?
Fine, good idea.
I didn't intervene for your sake, dummy.
Wow, I've gotta say, you get mad really often. Does yelling make you feel any better?
You know, I only seem to get ticked enough to yell when you are involved, which I think is pretty telling.
Yeah, makes sense. You know, maybe you should take a few pages from Chitanda's book. She never gets riled up about anything.
I've never seen you like that either, Satoshi. And come to think of it, though I've seen him get annoyed, Oriki doesn't often get downright angry. Not as far as I've noticed, anyway.
Fuku totally gets angry.
Yeah, I've seen him livid.
Do you really?
Of course. I may not flip out and start screaming like Mayuka, but yeah, I get mad.
I couldn't even imagine you having that kind of reaction about anything.
Well, I am human after all. I get angry sometimes.
True, but you don't make a
Here's my
big production about
microphone.
venting your feelings in front of everyone.
He's not very scary when he gets angry, though.
Are you serious? Well, it's sure news to me.
That piques my curiosity. I want to see it.
What?
I predict that Chitanda will hatch some grand scheme to trick Satoshi into getting ticked off, just to see if it's possible. I can't wait for that.
Oriki, do you have a secret temper?
There's no hot blood in that one at all.
Because he's so level-headed?
It's more that he's way too selfish and shallow to get upset about anything in life.
Hey, we may be frenemies, but that's over the line. Whoa, I got mad.
Don't get me started on Hotaro. We'll be here all night. But Chitanda's lack of irascibility is almost heroic. She's like a Zen master. Her patience is incredible. No matter what, she always rolls with the punches. You might be happier if you tried to be more like her.
That's easy for you to say, but you don't understand what it's like to be me. I don't think I could ever be as calm as Chi.
Hold on, I'm confused. Is all this a compliment?
For sure, it's totally a good thing.
It's just an observation. There's no judgment either way.
Definitely. Not being able to get angry is not good, but the ability to rise above it is another story. After all, wrath is a pretty serious sin. You should cut me some slack, Mayuka. The way you lash out isn't right.
A sin?
You mean the 7 deadly sins?
Yeah, I'm impressed, Chitanda. They're pretty well known throughout the world. Hey, Mayuka, have you ever heard of them?
Yeah, everybody knows about those, right?
Wait a sec, I thought there were 108 sins.
No, those are earthly desires.
Excuse me.
Let me see. There's wrath, pride, gluttony, greed.
Envy, lust, and sloth are the three others.
Yeah, that's right.
Sloth, you say?
What's she looking at me for?
Wow, that means Chi is perfect. You're honest, kind, and you don't eat too much.
I wouldn't go that far.
I doubt that you've ever been greedy, and you're really diligent.
I am?
And another thing, as for lust, you're not slutty.
Awkward.
There's no way to know if she's envious, but I would bet she isn't.
This has turned from giving her simple compliments into full-out teasing.
Let's stop talking about it. Anyway, when I am
doesn't seem
hungry,
like the
I can
jealous
eat more
type.
food than you would ever imagine.
No surprise there.
I think her new nickname should be Saint Chi.
Eru Chitanda kind of sounds like an angel's name, doesn't it?
The archangels Michael, Gabriel, Uriel, and Eru.
I don't think this is funny.
She got mad.
You're right. She yelled at us.
Sorry, we didn't mean it, Chi.
I'm done talking.
Good job. You know exactly what to say to make a girl angry.
Hold on just a minute. I think she's mad at you, too.
Just because wrath is a sin doesn't mean it's good to never get angry. The same goes for the other deadly sins too, doesn't it? Pride and greed can be useful as long as they're kept in balance.
What do you mean?
Well, imagine a person who has no pride whatsoever. Doesn't that mean they also have zero confidence? And if a person doesn't have an ounce of greed at all, wouldn't it be difficult for them to take care of themselves or a family? And think about envy. If people didn't ever feel it, there wouldn't be as many innovations, new technologies, or ideas. I didn't mean to go into lecture mode or anything, sorry.
That's okay. Interesting take.
So they're fine in moderation?
I just don't think it's wise to take the term deadly sins so literally and then live our lives as if those 7 normal human emotions are gonna kill us or something.
So then what you're saying is that it's not necessarily a bad thing to get mad?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, if you always stifle your anger, it might start to get in the way of your ability to enjoy your life too.
I definitely get mad.
But like, if that's your philosophy, then why don't you ever get mad?
Because it's draining. And I avoid doing things that wear me out.
No! Our Chitanda has been corrupted by Hotaro! How could we have let this happen? There are evil spirits roaming the halls of Kami-High! Ghosts hell-bent on conserving energy!
Please, Chi, snap out of it!
That's
What have
right.
you done with
Laugh
our
it up, you
friends?
jerks.
I'm kidding.
Huh?
I was just playing.
It was a joke? And here I thought I'd found my twin flame.
Sorry to scare you. I just thought it'd be funny. But it isn't like I don't get angry. Everyone does, even me.
Huh?
Yeah, for example, I get mad when... I get really angry when I see people wasting food. In my house, a grain of rice equals a drop of sweat.
She's totally a true farmer's daughter. Hey, I almost forgot. Speaking of flying off the handle, wasn't that you I heard yelling at Mr. Omichi during 5th period today?
Yeah, you're right. I can't believe I forgot about that. I want to hear your thoughts. Tell me what you make of my angry outburst today, Oreki.
Oh, crap. Well, I gotta get going.
Wait, before you go, I just want to hear what you think about what happened.
Did something crazy go down?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it was crazy. I still can't believe it. In math, I got angry.
Whoa, Chi, are you kidding again?
No, I'm serious, but I can't really figure out what specifically made me mad, only that I had gotten mad. Ordinarily, I would have made the choice not to have gotten mad, but I made the mad choice, and now being made mad makes me really curious, which kind of makes the being made mad okay if you think about it.
Have you gone mad?
I was made mad and then made curious about being made mad. Never mind the semantics. I have to know.
Go fight, go fight, go fight.
Today my class had math 5th period. Mr. Omichi was teaching and in a bad mood. Odaki and Fukube, you guys have him too, so you know pretty well what he can be like when he gets himself riled up. I guess I should explain what happened from the very beginning. Let's see. Mr. Omichi opened the door to the classroom right as the tardy bell started to ring. Before he came in, he stopped outside the doorway and looked up to the class plate, I guess so he would know what class he was teaching. But that's not unusual, he does it every time. Once he got in, the first thing he did was write a quadratic equation up on the board. It was simple enough, but he did something new this time. He included bounds for x, which wasn't something we knew how to do. Then Omichi called on Kawasaki. He told him to stand up in front of the class and solve the equation for the range of y. Kawasaki froze. He was confused, which is only natural, considering we hadn't learned about ranges yet. We were all nervous at this point. Kawasaki said that he didn't know how to solve for y, which is what started it. That's when Mr. Omichi flipped out and started screaming at us for being bad students. He calmed down after a bit and called on Tamura, who's really good at math. Unfortunately, Tamura didn't know what to do either. When the best guy at math in the class didn't know, I got the idea that maybe Mr. Omichi had been mistaken about the lesson plan. The other students must have figured it out too, and things got a little chaotic. Well, that really set Mr. Omichi off, so he started being even harsher with us. He even started beating the chalkboard like a maniac, which had never happened before. Someone in class may have been able to solve the problem, but at that point no one wanted to speak up. Everyone just stared at their desks. Then Mr. Omichi made Tamura stand up again and started berating him, trying to make an example out of him, I guess. That's when I just couldn't take it anymore and had to stand up. I told Omichi he must be mistaken and to double-check our class's progress in the lesson plan. So now I see that's the exact point when I got angry.
Well, what happened next?
Let me see. Then he just turned the page in his textbook. He saw something there and said, "Oh, that's right." Then he apologized. After that, he told Tamura to sit down and continued teaching like nothing had even happened.
So that's Mr. Omichi's teaching style, huh?
Oh, for sure. You would be traumatized if I went into detail about the kind of grief that man gave me after midterms.
We had teachers like him back in elementary and middle school, though, right? Ones with really bad tempers. Besides, your crappy grades are your own fault, not his. You better study for the final.
So anyway, that's the story. What do you think?
Is anything about that out of the ordinary?
What I'm curious about is how Mr. Omichi made that kind of mistake in the first place. It seems so out of character for him. He's usually kind of a perfectionist, so it's odd.
Yeah, you're right. And I think the reason Omichi is so strict with his students is that he's equally hard on himself.
So then how could he have made such a simple mistake? That's the part I don't understand.
Yeah, weird. I don't understand it either.
Hey, Odaki!
Beats me. Look, if you really want to know that badly, why don't you go right to the source and pick Omichi's brain instead of mine?
Because that would take all the fun out of it.
Oh, yeah? Well, I guess you'll never know the answer. You might as well give it up.
I'm too curious for that! Odaki, why don't you want to think about this with me?
Why me?
Come on, silly, don't you think it would be fun for us to try to figure this out together?
Oh? I don't like her talking to me like I'm a little kid.
Look, Chi, you might want to avoid getting your hopes up about this guy. He was a sloth in one of his past lives.
What? Mayaka, you can do past life regression?
Nice distraction, Mayaka.
Interesting, but right now I want to know about Omichi.
Damn, she won't be swayed.
I have to know. Mr. Omichi always makes a point to write a note in his textbook at the end of every class. Why do you think he takes the time to do that?
So he can remember how far he got in each lesson and pick up there for the next class.
That's what I thought. He also does that weird thing where he looks at the class plate before he comes into the room. It seems like a foolproof system, so how is there room for any mistakes on his part?
He probably writes the name of the class and the date on the page where they stopped. Like on page 15, Class A, July 1st, or something. Otherwise, it would be really easy for him to lose track. Do you think maybe he could have forgotten what the date was?
If that were the case, he would have gone back a previous day, not skipped ahead. Use your brain a little, dummy.
Well, she's not wrong.
Something's bugging me about this. Want to hear?
Of course, go ahead.
I can understand you getting mad about something like that, but I can't imagine you feeling so strongly about it that you take the risk to talk back to a teacher. Why do you think you did?
I was angry, but I didn't just speak up because he was being mean to us. That's not unusual for Mr. Omichi.
Then was it that the people who knew the answer didn't come forward?
No way. Who would have wanted to solve it in that situation even if they did know the answer?
Could you have been mad that no one else had the courage to correct him?
Oh, no.
Do you think you just felt sorry for him, Tamura?
I mean, I did feel pretty bad for the guy, but I can't imagine why that would make me mad enough to talk back. It's kind of a regular occurrence that a student who doesn't know the answer to a problem we've already covered in class would get berated by the teacher, isn't it? But as far as what made me stand up to Mr. Omichi... It's really hard to understand ourselves sometimes.
You're right.
What pushes Chitanda's buttons? What makes her tick? I still don't feel like I know her well enough to be able to say one way or the other.
So what's your take? What do you think?
The clue about Omichi writing the note in his book on the class's progress is the one that might lead to an answer here. But even doing that, he still made a mistake. Since it's math, which is cumulative, they're going in order, so there had to be notes written on the previous pages in the chapter too. You're absolutely 100% positive that your class hadn't learned about ranges.
I'm sure. Positive.
Well, suppose you had already learned about them, then what?
I don't see what you're getting at.
Omichi teaches the same concepts every school term. Class 1A had the same lesson last year, didn't they?
If you're saying he saw the previous year's mark and got confused, that isn't a possible answer.
How can you be sure?
The teacher's editions are replaced every year. The publishers go through and make slight corrections, put in new problems, etc. In order to make sure they're all on the same page, no pun intended, they just reissue them. They're currently on the 4th edition.
I can't believe you know that.
If it weren't for us, all of your knowledge would be useless.
Databases are never useless.
Maybe Omichi just wrote the wrong thing in his book. It could be the case, but... I doubt that answer would satisfy Chitanda's curiosity.
I gotta admit, I don't understand ranges either. It's all I can do to put X and Y on the same plane, and even that's a chore, which is kind of pathetic. I'm gonna be in for a world of pain if Omichi sets his sights on me.
Wait a second. Do you mean Class 1D has already covered the ranges unit?
Oh, yeah.
So Satoshi's class would have been able to solve the problem, but Chitanda's couldn't. Mine wouldn't have either. Then that's the answer.
Oh man, I recognize that look. You figured it out, huh?
I might have. Chitanda.
Yes?
You're absolutely certain there was a note in the textbook farther ahead than the point your class had reached, is that right?
Yes! No doubt about it!
And it had to be one he's written this year. It was just not on the page where Class 1A had actually stopped.
Right.
So what if we were to assume that the note was on the correct page, just for the wrong class? What if the note was a progress marker for Satoshi's, not yours?
My class? Omichi teaches math to 4 classes, A, B, C, and D. Even if the note wasn't for A or B, that doesn't mean it has to be for Class D.
And even if it was for that class, why would it matter?
Well, if that were the case, it makes sense that he would mistake the mark for Class A's. There's not much chance he'd confuse a C for a D, is there?
Huh? Now you're talking nonsense again. No one would mistake an A for a D either.
But Omichi is a mathematician.
Yeah, so what?
That's why it's likely. It's really easy to mistake those 2 letters when you do math.
How?
Let's say on page 10, Omichi wrote July 1st, Class A. Then on page 15, he would have written July 1st, Class D. Does that make sense?
Okay, so what exactly are you getting at? Why would anyone confuse one for the other?
Just assume he did for a sec. If so, then what went down today is pretty likely, right?
Huh?
Wait, I don't get how that would ever happen.
Because when you write equations, A and D would look like this.
I get it! He thought a lowercase d was an A!
You solved it!
I guess you're right. One time, on an English test, I lost points because the teacher couldn't tell some of my lowercase letters apart.
Same here. It's difficult. On my test, the teacher couldn't distinguish the N's from the H's.
That's what happened. It seems so obvious now.
Man, I'm glad that's settled.
D and A. I can't blame him for mixing those up. I feel bad now. I guess I was a bit out of line for getting so mad and yelling, huh? I'm surprised I didn't get in trouble for it.
What? How can you say that? He was a total D and screamed at the class for no good reason. You have to stand up for what's right.
Hey, calm down. Just look at how late it's gotten. Don't you think it's time we headed home?
But wait! I wasn't finished!
I know, but why does it matter? The mystery's been solved.
Hey! I'm not done with you!
Chitanda, who's usually slow to anger, got mad today and had to know why. She said herself that wrath isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I wonder. For some reason, she still seems to avoid getting riled up. Could her quest to pinpoint the cause of her anger have been motivated by some desire to let Omichi off the hook? Did she just want to find some proof that she was wrong to get mad in the first place? Is that the kind of person Edo Chitanda really is, at her core? Nah. Who am I kidding? I don't truly know her at all. Even if I knew her well enough to make predictions about her behavior, if I ever presumed to be able to read her mind, well, I know what that'd be. A cardinal sin. Pride. One of the 7 deadly ones. Avoid those at all costs, they say. I mean, come on. How many times has Chitanda surprised me? And this afternoon alone?
Hey, Oraki! Aren't you coming with us?
Oh, of course. I'm sorry.
Hey, listen. Thank you for your help with everything. I mean, it feels like you're always solving these mysteries for me, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's becoming a real hassle.
What are you guys still waiting around for?
Yeah, you want to live at the school?
No, we're right behind you. Well, should we be going then?
Sure. I guess tomorrow I'll pick up where I left off.
Come on, Oraki!
That may be true for you, Mayaka. Think about it from her perspective.
And so, another afternoon of my high school life is spent squandering my energy. I've got my hands full with one deadly sin, sloth. That's plenty for now.
Next time, upon seeing the true nature